Hey guys, how are you? Give me just a second here, guys. I need to start my Instagram. For some reason, I must have made a mistake in initializing that. So give me just a second, guys. Trying to get my Instagram going here. That was really odd. I don't usually make that mistake on Instagram. I'm not 100% sure what happened there. I think my page just refreshed when it wasn't supposed to. So good to see all of you. But let me finish this up. All right, looks like there we are. All right, so we're back. Sorry about that, guys. I don't know what happened with my Instagram there. It shut down when it wasn't supposed to shut down or some weird thing. I don't know. But so good to see all of you. Happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday, October 2nd. I almost forgot what day of the week it was there for a second. But really grateful that we get to spend this time together talking about data science and machine learning and generative AI and whatever else you wanted to talk about. You know, I'm here for you guys ultimately. I love coming in here and figuring out what questions you guys want to talk about, and we'll just kind of go from there. So for those of you that are new, please introduce yourselves. We always ask people to say hello to let us know their city, state, province, country. It's a great way for you to participate, to be part of the community, to not just ask questions, but also contribute. And also it's a way to keep the chat professional. We like to keep the chat professional, and introducing yourself and how you carry yourself is very important in data science. On top of that, I also like to give an opening note to kind of set the tone for the stream. Sometimes, you know, I'll share about different concepts or business or my life or whatever it is. But again, we ask yourself to introduce yourself and, you know, just let us know where you're from. And then after both of those are done, I'll go ahead and take your questions. You know, I love taking on all comers and just seeing what you guys have, right? Seeing what questions you guys have. So for today's opening note, I you know, honestly, guys, I kind of had a little bit of trouble deciding what I wanted to talk about. There's so many good things to talk about for today's opening note. My mind right now is really on a lot of the questions that I received on Monday and on Tuesday. So as most of you know, when I do my opening notes, my Monday postings, I usually post on Instagram and say, hey, you know, if you guys have a question, ask me a good question and I'll try to give you a video reply. And I got a couple of really good questions this week. You know, one question was around on how to become a data analyst quickly so that they can get a job and get money. Okay, I think most of you know how I feel about that, right? And then another question was about how to stay motivated in your 20s. You know, and yesterday we talked a little bit about imposter syndrome, and staying motivated is probably not as quite a popular question as I received as imposter syndrome, but it's up there. It's up there. A lot of young people do ask me about staying motivated in their 20s. And I know that a lot of people in my chat are also in their 20s, right? So I'm curious to hear from some of you about how all of you stay motivated, or what challenges you're finding around staying motivated. I'm really fascinated by that because it's an interesting topic to me. It's interesting because I'm not sure if I was just ignorant to it when I was in my 20s, or if there has been some sort of societal change or some sort of outlook change, or what exactly is causing those shifts in motivation. So I would love to hear from whoever's willing to share. And I'm not going to call on anybody, but if you guys are willing to share that, it's something that I find very fascinating. Sometimes I worry about when I hear those types of questions, or when I hear those questions come up more frequently, because it makes me wonder where we're all headed as a society, as a world, as a humanity, right? I've told people sometimes if I could go back and do it all over again, I'd love to go back to college and be a sociology major, right? I mean, I think a lot of those topics are fascinating. So I want to hear from you if anybody's willing to talk about that, because when I was in my 20s, I just didn't find the motivation to be that difficult. But I guess part of it was just maybe wanting to not be homeless, right? If you don't want to be homeless, you got to go out and work and find a job and keep yourself employed, right? But I guess, there's also a reason why that question comes up frequently, why so many young people are interested in that question. So if you're interested in sharing, I'd love to hear from you. But it's something that I find fascinating. Something that, I gave my thoughts yesterday about staying motivated, right? I was mostly driven by wanting to be a good man, to be a good provider for myself, for my family, for any future family. And I still carry that forward, I don't borrow money from people. I don't owe anybody anything. I've never relied on my parents for help or family for help. My bills are my problems. My responsibilities are my own and only my own. I hate credit card debt. I don't rely on credit cards. I don't have any significant debt. But that's just me. So I'd like to hear from you, because again, it is something that I do find fascinating. So again, I'm already seeing people filling up my chat, which is fantastic. If you just joined us, let us know your city, state, province, country. Good way to introduce yourself, and we'll go from there. So let me start already, because you guys are quick today. Jeez. Fatima, our good friend from... Oh, did I get that wrong? Okay. Fatima, our good friend from Meekness. Fatima, you're first today. All right, Fatima gets the first poster badge today. Fatima, hope you're doing well. Hope your program is doing well. Stones, let us know where you're from, okay? We always ask people to introduce themselves. Yassine, hello sir, Yassine from Tangier. Yassine, hope you're doing well out there. Yassine, I forgot, to tell you in the chat about one aspect of my last trip to Tangier. I went to the world's best Italian restaurant, and it was actually in Tangier on my last trip out there. So if you guys ever make it out to Tangier, you got to go. I don't even know what section of the city this was in, but you got to go to the Italian embassy in Tangier. They have an embassy there. And in the bottom floor of the embassy, in the rear, there's actually a really good Italian restaurant, and they staff it with all Italian people that they brought through the embassy, and they bring in all Italian ingredients and products. It's kind of weird to find, like I got instructions on how to go there, because you're actually on the embassy grounds when you go to this restaurant. Like you actually pass like an embassy, like security booth to get to this restaurant. And the embassy itself is kind of like on this little side street, it's not like on a main road. But of all places in the world, Tangier was, I got to experience some excellent Italian food, very nice atmosphere, very unique menu. But if you guys ever want some good Italian food, it's actually in Tangier. So little travel tip. Yassine, let me know if you've been there. If you haven't, I would highly recommend it. I'm jealous that you're so close to it, but very good Italian restaurant on the first floor of the Italian embassy in Tangier. No limit. We ask people to introduce themselves, okay? Omar says, "Hello, Dennis. Hope you're doing well." I'm doing well, Omar. Thank you so much. Omar, let us know where you're from, okay? Is it Pico? Pico LDX? M from Canada. Welcome. I think it's your first time, so welcome. What part of Canada? Canada's a big and beautiful country. Let us know what part of Canada. Rex says, from a sunny day in New York City, good morning, everyone. Nice, Rex. What a positive sounding message from a sunny day in New York City. I hope it's warming out there for you, Rex. So hope you're doing well out there. Hi, sir. Hope everything is okay from Roth. Yeah, everything is good, Osama. For some reason, my Instagram was just acting up this morning as far as like my broadcasting on it. I don't know what happened there. But yeah, just a little last minute, maneuvering that I had to do here on my end. But that's part of going live, right? Not everything is going to go perfect. And that's okay. I like those aspects, I like doing these lives for you. I would have quit months ago if I was doing pre-recorded content for you guys. It's just boring. It's boring. Rahul, our good friend Rahul from India. Happy Gandhi Jayanti. I'm sorry, Rahul. I'm ignorant. Is that a holiday in India? Let me know what that is. For a while there, I thought you were telling me where you were from again, but I know where you're from. But obviously, it sounds like a holiday. Let me know, Rahul. I'm sorry that I'm ignorant to that. Jessica, so good to see you back. How are you? Hope you're doing well out there. Jessica T from New York, thank you. Yeah, Jessica, I remember you. We had that. You were bringing up some questions around risk, which I think is a fascinating topic. So yeah, Jessica, any questions I can answer for you, or if you want to contact me via direct message, happy to continue that conversation with you. But yeah, welcome back. Glad to see you back. Always encouraging to see people back. So hope you're doing well out there in New York. We have quite a few people from New York here. Is it Belly? Belly, we ask people to introduce themselves. Let us know where you're from, okay? Landry, our good friend Landry says, today it's hello from Amsterdam. Hope you're all doing great. I am at an IoT expo where I got to speak to a data scientist in aviation. Nice. Very cool. Very cool, Landry. Amsterdam is beautiful. Amsterdam is beautiful for conferences. I actually spoke at a conference in Amsterdam. Oh my gosh, like back in 1999 or something like that. That was the last time I was in Amsterdam. I would love to go back there. That's excellent, Landry. If you picked up anything interesting for us, feel free to share it. But yeah, glad to see that you're here. And I think you're usually from Belgium, right? Belgium to Amsterdam doesn't strike me as a long trip. You probably had to fly there, but that seems like a pretty short, reasonable trip. So I hope you're doing well out there, Landry. Anthony says, from Chicago, systems specialist, degree in information systems, age 23. Thanks for the introduction, Anthony. I would answer by saying motivation comes when you are passionate. If the passion isn't there, well, you won't get far. Yeah, Anthony, I totally get that. But I relate to that because I have passion in my career. As you guys know, I'm very passionate about data science, and I recommend the book Mastery by Robert Greene if you want to if you want some help finding your passion. But Anthony, staying motivated in your 20s, I think, is also more about life, isn't it? Like, isn't it more about just like life in general? Because it's okay if you find your passion later in life. Nothing wrong with that, right? And some people don't until much later in life, right? You hear about people who start running marathons in their 50s or something like that, right? And that becomes their passion. And that's okay, right? But, to me, there's a difference between motivation in your 20s than passion in your 20s. Because, I mean, come on, it's tempting to stay home and play video games all day, right? Lots of people do that, right? Let's be honest. Lots of people do that, right? Right? We all have friends like that. Not you, of course. Just, we all have friends like that, right? That's different than passion, I think, right? Well, I don't know. Let me know if I'm wrong on that, guys. Maybe there is a connection to passion or not. I don't know. But Anthony, thank you so much. Welcome. I think it's your first time, so appreciate the introduction. Thank you so much. Norma, welcome. Norma, I think it's your first time. Hi, I'm from Mexico City. Wonderful, wonderful. A growing viewership in Mexico. Mexico is one of the countries that's rising in my analytics. So, Norma, welcome. Glad to see that you're here. Anything else you want to share, Norma? Feel free. Or if you have any questions, anything I can help you with, please let me know, okay? Manoj, our good friend Manoj from Bangalore. How are you, my friend? Such a great supporter. Really appreciate you. Hope you're doing well. Hope you and your family are well out there in Bangalore. Oh, by the way, when I saw Yassine's intro, Yassine, I forgot to mention, we missed you yesterday. You missed yesterday. Come on, Yassine. You gotta let me know ahead of time before you miss, Yassine. Just kidding. Manish, our good friend Manish says, Manish from Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh, India. Okay. A graduate in aerospace engineering, pursuing to be an excellent data analytics professional. Nice. Nice. I like the way you put that. Thank you so much. As I said, the other message that I got yesterday, they got a ton of attention overnight. You guys went crazy for that reply I did. I can really appreciate, and I really want to support the people that want to go about this in a professional manner, that want to make data their profession. So many people are out there just looking for the quick job, the quick money, the quick whatever. I'm really not here to support that. I'm really not on board with that at all. So, really happy to see people that are, really want to dedicate themselves to the field, because ultimately that's the type of person that I want to support with my content, right? Because I've been there, I've done that, right? I'm an old man, so it's time for me to help other people, right? So really glad that you're taking that positive attitude. So good on you, Manish. I'm sorry, was it Janet? Jessica. Yeah, so Jessica says, thank you, glad you remember me. I may be an old guy, but this mind still works every once in a while. I'm pretty good at remembering things if I read them and if I hear them. If I can do that, steel trap over here, I can remember it. But yeah, welcome back, Jessica. Leo, our good friend Leo. Hey everyone, good morning. Yes, if you guys see that little wrench next to Leo's name, that means he's one of my moderators. Rex is also one of my moderators attending today. And they do that on a volunteer basis. So if you guys see them, please give them a shout out. They really help me a lot with the moderation. So thanks to Leo and Rex for consistently being here. Charmant says, hey Dennis, now it's hello from Ottawa. What? Weren't you in China last? Did I get that right? I think you were in China last, right? And now you're in Ottawa? Wow. Okay, cool. Congratulations, man. Hope you're doing well out there. If you feel like sharing, about what brought you there, let us know. But Canada is a big, beautiful country. I have a lot of good friends in Canada. I worked in Canada for a while. The last time I went to see hockey, it was Vegas versus Ottawa. So, lots of good connections to Canada. Canadians are good people. So hope you're doing well out there in Ottawa. Let us know more about that, Nicholas, if you want. Okay, it's up to you. Okay, Jessica, I love this message. And guys, let me know if this resonates with you, right? Because everybody can talk about their 20s, right? And I know some of you are still in your 20s, so would love to hear from you. Discipline and resilience is key. I tell my son, who is only 8 years old, we don't quit easily. Good. That's good advice. I like that. Um, yeah, I mean, a lot of people do seem to give up pretty easily nowadays, right? And obviously, I think we can agree that's not really a positive thing, right? But yeah. Um, Also, it seems like we live in a world where everybody's obsessed with the latest and greatest and the new, right? Everybody's chasing a trend. And that can also be dangerous. And that, I think that also leads to quitting, right? So what do you guys think? Let me know. I think Jessica here is posting some really good advice, right? And I try to impart this advice also on my niece and nephew. My niece recently just started college, like she's literally in her first semester. My nephew is in his third year. So he's closer to finishing, but still, still has a ways to go. But yeah, that discipline and resilience is not always easy to find, right? In many ways, and that's those things that people can't do for you. You either have it inside you or you don't, right? So let me know. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? Omar, we always ask people to introduce themselves, please, okay? So let us know where you're from. Anthony, continuing our talk about passion. I agree, passion can be found at later stages. It seems folks in my age group struggle to see an end goal. Yeah. Hence why some folks go right to asking about a job instead of developing their skills first. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, Anthony. Absolutely. And you said you were, early 20s, right? So yeah, that's a lot of the age group that I'm referring to, and, and even later in life, right? Sometimes you can lose your motivation, right? Hence why some folks go right to asking about a job instead of developing their skills first. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think what Anthony is saying here applies to a lot of jobs, right? Like everybody wants the money without doing the work, right? Or as I mentioned, I think late in one of last week's streams, the way I've explained it to people when the people that have come to me but have ultimately failed in data science, everybody wants to look like a bodybuilder. Nobody wants to lift the heavy weights, right? But here's the thing, guys. You can do that in other jobs, right? If you want to, if you really want to. Not a good idea, but you can do it. But in data science, your reputation matters. You're a scientist. You're an individual scientist. So your reputation matters. If you're known for putting out poor work, poor studies, poor design practices, whatever, that comes back to you. That comes back to you. Your reputation as a data scientist matters. So it's tempting to say, well, I just want the job first. And you can do that if, say, you were working, I don't know, like in the marketing field, let's say, right? Where your reputation probably doesn't really follow you a lot, right? But in data science and science in general, your reputation matters. Your reputation will follow you. So you got to make sure that you are investing an appropriate amount in knowing the work, putting in the work, putting out good studies, having good discipline, having good resilience, as Jessica mentions, right? And being not just a data scientist, but a quality data scientist. So, I totally agree with what Anthony's writing here. And I would just say, it matters just that little bit more extra in data science. Your reputation matters. Okay, so Rahul helps me clarify. It's Mahatma Gandhi's birthday, so there's an alcohol ban for the day. Not so good day, but people like me like it to sober up. Okay, speaking of motivation, Rahul. All right, Rahul. Good for you. Hey, you never know, right? One day leads to 2 days, leads to 3 days. Who knows where today could take you, right? Today could be a whole new start for Rahul. So good for you, my friend. So Yassine says, personally, sir, I think if a person is seeking motivation, that is not usually the actual problem. I think there's too much looking inwards. In other words, people are caring too much about what they feel. One can feel just a little discomfort and then start giving that feeling too much attention, making it bigger than it really is. I also think it would really help if one can change this perspective on life and work. People will usually look at someone that works very hard and think of them as going through war. That's very wrong, I think. Hardworking is a really great form of self-belief. One can't invest in himself if he can't appreciate what he is. Oh, very interesting. Very, very interesting, Yassine. That's a combination of different views. I like it. Interesting. Here's the thing, Yassine. I'm stuck on one of the sections you wrote. People are caring too much about what they feel. It's totally possible that I'm misinterpreting that. But if you don't pay attention to what you're feeling, then how can you appreciate what you are, as you say in your last message? I don't know. Is that possible? Feels a little contradictory, doesn't it? But like I said, I'm totally open to being wrong. I could just be misinterpreting your message. So, because I'm thinking about, when I shared my story about making the move into data science, I just wasn't happy doing software engineering. Just wasn't happy. I wasn't passionate about it. But again, like I say, a great paycheck, great way to make a living. I had a ton of clients. I had great clients. I've shared about how I had Caesars Entertainment and IBM as clients at the same time, and they were literally both right across the highway from each other. Like, I had the most perfect setup for software consulting and engineering. Like, I would work at 1 a.m. I would go to lunch. I had this, I love this little Thai restaurant. The lady was really nice to me. She would have my lunch ready for me. And then I would go right back and work at the other company for the afternoon. Like I could work as many hours as I wanted to. Great pay. Like, couldn't have asked for anything more. But I just wasn't happy doing it. Like, I just wasn't passionate about it. It was I wouldn't have known that unless I paid attention to my feelings, right? Like, I wouldn't have known that unless I said, hey, wait a minute, you're good at this, but you're not passionate. Like, this isn't great. Right? So you got to value yourself in some way, don't you? Or not value, but you got to look inward and pay attention to those feelings on some level, don't you, Yassine? Because that's the part I'm having trouble with, right? That too much looking inwards. You got to look inwards to find that passion or to gauge your happiness, don't you? Like that has to happen at some point. Because I could have stayed on that hamster wheel with my 2 clients. Like, I could have done that for the rest of my life, right? But like, wouldn't have been happy. So you got to look inward at some point, right? Let me know, Yassine. Maybe I just misunderstood you, but you have to have that self-awareness, that inward look on some level. And I don't mean like a non-zero level. I mean like at least 20% plus. So let me know, Yassine. So Leo says, I think that in a world with fast rewards, facing a challenge can be interpreted by the body as unnecessary. Leo says that's why it's important to set a goal with a broad understanding of what's necessary for you to reach it. It's hard not to get distracted, though, by what seems easier and faster. Yeah, totally agree, Leo. Totally agree. Yeah, yeah. And that's like a double-edged sword, right? Because the longer the timeline for your goal, the easier it is to get distracted, right? Like, you know, the longer the pursuit of the goal goes on, the easier it is to derail, right? So yeah, Leo, totally agree with that. Totally agree with that. And we do live in a world where there's so many distractions, right? So many distractions. But yeah, I hear you on that. I hear you on that. Omar says, hello, Dennis. Omar from Egypt. Welcome, Omar. Omar, I'm tempted to say it's your first time, so welcome. Glad you're here. Glad you're here. Thanks for joining us over on YouTube. So Manish is sharing a quote that gets me going every day. A focused fool can accomplish more than a distracted genius. Nice. I have it pinned on my workstation wall right in front of my eyes. Manish, I like that one. I like that one. Good man. And I like that you have it close by, right? You got to do that. You got to do that. You know, speaking of which, and also combining it to Leo's comments, you know, I do something similar. So what I do is I come up with these trackers that I post for myself. And this one I've taken down, but I'll post it like, you know, near my workstation also. And this is when I was writing my book. My goal for writing my book was 1,000 words every day. So this is when I started, and then I would write my word count. Let me bring it here. At the end of every day to keep myself accountable and say, did I meet my goal? You know? And like some days, like if you look down here, I wrote 3,000 words in one day, which is a lot, by the way. If you've never tried if you've never tried writing 3,000 words, it's a lot. So yeah, so I'm definitely like that, you know, to both Leo and Manisha's comments, where I keep myself on a schedule and I keep it in front of my eyes. You know, like I said, this used to be pinned up, but I took it down. But like, I use this to keep myself motivated, to remind me of my goals, to keep myself on track, and so on. AN is joining us from Ajay, California, or is your name AJ? Okay, your name is AJ from Paris, California. Nice, very cool, AJ. Welcome. I think it's your first time, so welcome, AJ. You know, whenever I think of Paris, California, I always think of the skydiving school, right? I think that's what Paris is mostly known for. So welcome. Thanks for joining us. Rex says, people get motivated and demotivated for all kinds of reasons. I'd rather focus on discipline rather than motivation. But at the end of the day, focus on whatever gets you to achieve your goal. My 2 cents. Okay, I like that, Rex. So Rex is drawing a line between motivation and discipline. Okay, I like that. So Rex, are you saying that like one leads to the other? Right? More discipline naturally results in more motivation? I could kind of see that. But let me know, Rex. Maybe I'm misunderstanding you. So Zax said they're from Medinati, Cairo, Egypt. Nice. Welcome, Zax. Lots of viewers from Northern Africa. Love it. So Zach says, what is the best resource to learn cybersecurity? Zach, if you go, you're on Instagram. I see you're on Instagram. If you go to my stories, yesterday I posted a story by a good friend of mine. His name on Instagram is You Suck at Cloud. He produces some very good cybersecurity materials. I am not a cybersecurity expert. You know, and when I can't help you guys with something, I'm honest with you and I tell you, you know, that's not my expertise. You know? But go check out You Suck at Cloud. He's a good guy. He's actually just started streaming. I think he streams twice a week or something like that. But go follow him. He provides a lot of good materials, and I like him. Obviously we message and all that. Both of us, kind of support each other, in that neither one of us is one of these, idiot influencers who sells you cheap materials and just junk. He's the same way I am. He doesn't sell cheap courses or make you promises. He just puts out good content because he's also a working professional, like I am. But he's the only guy I recommend for that. Ignore everybody else. But his name is You Suck at Cloud. Go check him out. Again, I really like the guy because he's not one of the scammers out there, right? He's not going to sell you some cheap crap. He's a good guy, so go check him out. But I'm not a cybersecurity resource. I really can't help you. In fact, I've asked him a couple questions, because I need help on it. But yeah, go look up his account. Anise, our good friend Anise. Hello everyone. Hello Dennis. Showed up late today. Well, I hope you brought a note. I hope you brought a note from your parents. I hope you're having a beautiful day. Yeah, we are having a good day. So Anise, we're talking about motivation, discipline, what keeps you going. Why data science, why your career, what gets you up in the morning. We're talking about all of that, okay? So if you want to contribute or you want to sit back, either one is cool. But glad you're here. Yeah, so Leo, a great quote. I heard once, you can't choose not to feel, but you can choose what to do with what you feel. Wow, that's powerful. I like that one. Yeah. What do you guys think? I think that's a great quote. Because Leo, and I know we've talked a little bit about this before about, some of the Stoic teachings, right? And it feels a little bit like that, right? That you can't choose what people do to you, but you can choose how you respond to it, right? So this seems a little bit similar to that, but I like the little twist on it. That's a great quote. That's a great quote, guys. Rahul making threats in the chat. Leo, watch your back. Rahul's gonna remember you. So Leo says, especially for data science. Yesterday I was feeling like that. So many things to work on, and while trying to debug this, I feel like I don't know enough. What am I doing? I'm chasing what is right. Yep. But I'm back on track. After the live, I started to be in touch with my achievements, even if it's small, and understand I'm still trending upwards. Nice. Very cool. Very cool, Leo. I do sincerely hope that yesterday's stream helped you even just a little bit. For those of you that weren't here yesterday, we were talking about imposter syndrome. And that's also something that's very common. By far the most popular question I get from, people that I mentor, or young people that I mentor. Very, very popular question. I really can't think of any mentorees that haven't asked me that question at some. But yeah. Salman, welcome back. I'm from India, MSc in data science, first year student. We have a descriptive stats of regression, analysis, R, probability distribution, and DBMS as our syllabus or first semester, but facing lots of problems. Salman, were you the same person that was asking about regression analysis? Somebody was asking me about that, I think on Saturday's stream, that it was their first year and they were having problems with regression. Let me know. I think you're the same guy, no? Or same person. Let me know, Salman. Omar says, yeah, it's my first time on YouTube. I have a question. I'm working as a data analyst. Do I have to do a master's to break into data science? Nope. No, I don't view that as a strict requirement. For data analysts, you need to work on your modeling skills, right? I mean, data analyst, data scientist, biggest difference is modeling. And you can do that away from a master's program. You don't need a master's program to teach you modeling. Rex says, I'm not sure if discipline leads to motivation, but I know discipline is what gets the job done. All right. Hey, if it ain't broke, why fix it, Rex? If it's working for you, go for it, my friend. Love your view, though. I love your view on the separation of discipline versus motivation. Satyam, our good friend Satyam, checking in from Delhi, India. Nice to see you, Satyam. Hope you're doing well out there. So Yassine continues, yes, of course, one should listen to what he feels, but not too much. Your feelings are not who you are, they are just feelings. The looking inward that tells a person that DS is a better job can also tell him lying on bed is more comfortable. It's about equilibrium. Looking inwards, I believe, should be for real big life issues, not for whether you should work or not. Okay. Okay. All right. I can see that, Yassine. I think all of us, adapt to feelings in a different way, right? But I can see that. If anybody else has comments on that, let me know. Because, sometimes I do rely a lot on my inner feelings, right? I think a gut feeling, a gut sense in business is very important, right? If your gut is telling you not to take on the client, not to do the contracts or something else, there's a reason for it, right? But that's different than, as Yassine says, should I work this afternoon or not? So, I can get there. I can get there. All right, so Fatima says, I think discipline helps you push through when motivation fades. By viewing hard work as self-love, you make it easier to stay consistent, even in discomfort. Okay. Discipline turns your commitment into action, ensuring steady progress. Okay. You make it easier to stay consistent, even in discomfort. Okay. That's very interesting, Fatima. That's a very unique view. Discipline turns your commitment into action, ensuring steady progress. Okay. So maybe that's a little bit closer to like Rex's view, right? About how discipline tops everything, right? I hear that. I wish I could remember what video I saw it in, but I remember I was watching this YouTube video and I was talking about how humans are terrible at understanding the benefits of long-term goals versus short-term goals, right? Everybody wants the short-term goals, even though the long-term goals are probably worth more to you. So that's kind of what, Fatima and Rex's message is reminding me of, where maybe it's the discipline that gets you there, right? The discipline to stay focused on the long-term benefits, right? Maybe there's something to that. I don't know. Maybe, maybe that's what Fatima and Rex mean in a roundabout way, or maybe not, right? I could be misinterpreting it. But yeah, okay. I like the way you guys are drawing that discipline, that difference. Because to me, discipline and motivation are kind of like, maybe not the same thing, but definitely very, very closely related, right? But maybe I'm wrong, I'm open to being wrong. Joseph says, hello, Dennis, and everyone. Happy pre-Thursday. Good to see you again, Joseph. Hope you're doing well out there in Tennessee. Salman says, yes, I was the same. But our teacher is teaching us how to build prediction model being in data science student. Okay. So, Salman, I can empathize with what you're going through because data science can indeed be difficult at times. But it's also important to be able to narrow down the parts that you're having trouble with, or the parts that are difficult for you, like the specificity of it. And then what are you going to do about it? Not what your teacher is going to do about it. What are you going to do about it? Right? Because you've identified a challenge, but now it's up to you to, work to fix it. Right? So really that's kind of like my question to you, right? Because if I remember right, on Saturday, I asked you to look at one of my videos regarding the Introduction to Statistical Learning book, particularly part 1, because I'm pretty sure that in part 1 is where we talk about regression analysis, right? So let me know if you've done that, because really, that's what we as scientists should be doing, right? We should be focused on solutions, not just in focusing on the problems, right? Because if we just focus on the problems, then it makes you feel better, but it doesn't move you forward, right? You're not advancing in that scenario, right? So, let us know. But we got to be a little bit more specific in our requests, right? You've identified the problem, but what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do about it? Leo says Yassine's Netflix episode tonight at 9. Oh man, I just canceled my Netflix too. That sucks. I don't know if I told you that, guys, but I no longer have Netflix. So Yassine, I'm sorry, I can't support you. I don't have Netflix, so somebody bootleg it and put it up on YouTube. Just kidding. Don't do that. Don't do that. So Joseph says, I'd like to think of discipline as the bridge between the intention and the action, guiding us to align our choices with our long-term values and goals. Discipline as the bridge between intention and action, guiding us to align our choices with our long-term values and goals. Okay. Now, Joseph, earlier we were talking about how the long-term goals are easily derailed, right? Because there's so many other things that can come along the way. So is that discipline too, or is that motivation? Like when you're actually on the journey, I mean, right? Because I like how you put the bridge, the bridge and the intention in action, because you're right? Some of you who are private I just said private messagely. Oh my gosh. Some of you that have messaged me privately, I've shared that one of the things that you'll come across in life is that there's a lot of people that I call the no, but I was gonnas, right? The world is filled with people, no, but I was gonna, right? Oh, did you actually, go to school and actually finish that degree? No, but I was gonna. Oh, did you actually, pay off your debts and clear up your finances? No, but I was gonna, right? The world is filled with people like that. So I like the way you're putting that, Joseph, right? That you're actually, you're not just talking about it, but you're going to go for it, right? But then what keeps you on that track if it's a long-term goal, right? Is it still the discipline you're talking about, or is it motivation? Okay, so Sarvesh is kind of adding to that. Motivation does make it easier to stay focused and maintain discipline. See, Sarvesh, I tend to agree with you, but I think, I'm not going to name names, but some people in the chat would disagree with you, right? Some people in the chat have drawn a line between that motivation and discipline. So I agree with you, but not everybody in the chat would agree with you. So I don't know. It does seem to be a little bit of an interesting view, right? And by the way, this is one of those topics that I love discussing because it's totally okay if we all have a different view on it, right? Nothing wrong with that. But it is interesting to see that we can all get to a different, we can all get to the same goal with a different motivation, right? With a different approach to it. Whether it is motivation or discipline or whatever, right? It's kind of like a weird thing of human nature, right? We can all get to the same place. Like if you think about the Olympics, right? Like, you know, I don't want to like lower the achievement or anything, but you know, generally speaking, relatively speaking, a lot of gold medals were given away at the Olympics, right? But each one of those people probably got there through totally different like mental mindsets, right? Like, yes, they all worked hard, but like the mental mindset was different, right? So it's like, where does that come into it, right? Like, that's kind of like an interesting part of the human condition, I would say. Aman, welcome. We always ask people to introduce themselves, okay? So we always ask people to introduce themselves when they join the chat. So Joseph says, that's an interesting thought, how a long-term goal might get derailed. I would say it depends, because sometimes it's a long-term goal. Because a long-term goal might change in pursuit of that goal. Yeah. Absolutely, Joseph. Absolutely. So the hard part is, what's the criteria for that, right? Because I can definitely think of multiple scenarios where you would make adjustments or change your expectations, adjust your goals. But are you doing it for good reasons or maybe not so great reasons, right? That's kind of really difficult to judge, isn't it? Like if you're on a long-term goal for weight loss, like that's always a good goal, right? Like that shouldn't change very often, right? But if you're on a long-term goal to like save money for retirement, then yeah, maybe you can make some adjustments, right? Like, you know, maybe you make some adjustments in like your investment goals, but you don't want to like withdraw money, right, from like your retirement savings. So I think that's I'm generally on board with that, but it's very situational dependent, right? And then if you think about like the weight loss one, like because I do that, right? And I put myself on very strict diets. That's how I do best. And I know other people do that too, right? And the danger there is always like, well, I'm on a strict diet, but maybe I'll let this other food in, you know? Or maybe like I'll let this, and then that was okay. That wasn't too bad. Let me let this other food in. And the next thing you know, you're away from your diet plan, right? Because now you've added like 10 different foods you weren't supposed to have to begin with, right? So it can also be like a slippery slope, right? So that's like another thing I think you need to be careful of, yeah? Like it's totally situational dependent. So Yassine says, if I may give an opinion, of course, Yassine, you don't have to ask for that. Just, you know, it's an open conversation, right? There's no wrong answers, guys, right? I mean, look, this is just all of us sharing different perspectives, and that's okay, right? Like I always tell you guys, it's healthy for in the scientific process to have this back and forth. And be able to say, hey, you know, I see it this way. Oh, you see it that way? Okay, cool. We don't have to be best friends or fight over it. It's just different perspectives. I think the gut feeling is almost like an intuition acquired through experience. I don't know if to think about it as a feeling. It seems to me as if our mind actually treats some information we're not aware of, and that gives a gut feeling, which is actually based on calculations that we are just not aware of. Sure. It's just my basic rationale. I don't think that's the actual case. Just want to know your thoughts on it. Yeah, of course, of course. I agree with that. Your mental subconscious is very powerful, and we have like virtually zero understanding of it. So yeah, I'm on board with that, Yassine, right? It's things are happening in your brain that you don't think about, but they'll speak to you, right? So yeah, I totally agree with that. And it does get refined over time, but that doesn't mean you don't have it when you're young. It's still there. You just have to pay attention to it, and then you have to trust it, right? Because trusting your intuition is like a whole other discussion, right? Not everybody trusts their intuition, right? So yeah, that's a whole other discussion. But yeah, I'm on board with your general sentiment, sure. So Manish, our friend from Nepal, says motivation can be internal or external. But discipline is totally based on what you do when there is no motivation to get up and do the work that is utterly boring but required to be done. But discipline is totally based on what you do when there is no... Yeah. Yeah, Manish, I get that. Yeah. Yeah, I like your lines between motivation and discipline. This is probably more how I personally align to them. As far as, you know, I'm motivated by some other factor, but the discipline is what keeps you going day to day, right? So like if I'm on a diet, I'm not motivated to not eat bad foods. I'm disciplined to not eat bad foods, right? So I'm with you on that, Manish. Leo says, we don't need motivation to eat. We don't need motivation to shower. We don't, because we embedded in ourselves the importance of those things in order to survive. I see work as the same. I don't know, Leo. I don't know, Leo. Leo, it's possible that maybe I'm just reading too much into your message because of the examples that you wrote, the particular examples you wrote. But here's what's sticking in my mind. What you just wrote wouldn't hold across other cultures and other countries. Right? So, no judgments on my part, right? But not every country eats like we do in the US, right? Not every country is fighting obesity. Not every country showers every day. Not every country has the same views on work that we do, right? Americans, generally speaking, have work laws and work habits that are different in other countries, right? So, like I said, maybe it's just specific to the examples you chose, Leo. Maybe I'm missing the spirit of your post, but it wouldn't hold in other cultures, right? There's plenty of cultures who, don't have the same views on work that we do, or on showering, or on how frequently we eat, or on the portion sizes, or things, right? So I don't know if that would hold across the world, Leo, but you let me know. Maybe I'm just misunderstanding. Joseph says, I like to think of motivation as a nice to have, but not necessary ingredient. Motivation may make it easier to be disciplined, but I think it's also important to learn how to work. Yeah. Learn how to work through phases where you do not have motivation. Yeah. Yeah, I like that, Joseph. Learning how to work, very key. Very key. Right? And To a large degree, that's one of the reasons why I ask people to introduce themselves, to try to help people um, uh, present themselves properly and kind of be professional. You guys know that I like to keep the chat professional because they don't teach you that in school. You can't learn that easily, and it's super critical for your success in a job, especially if you want to go work for like a big corporation, right? Super critical. Like when we have our summer interns at large companies, like we put them through classes. They're not long classes, it's like a seminar, but like we teach them please dress this way, please address your emails this way, right? Please, you have to teach those basics because those basics are important, right? So doing those types of things or learning those types of things, super critical. So I like the way you put that, Joseph, right? And it carries forward, right? Like some people need to learn how to diet. Some people need to learn how to cook their foods, right? Right? I mean, spoiler alert, people who are fat, like me, eat out a lot, right? Like during the pandemic, I'm embarrassed to say, but during the pandemic, like Uber Eats was like a two to three times a day habit, right? Like, but you gotta unlearn that, right? You gotta learn what you're gonna do, right? Like my pandemic bill for Uber Eats is like embarrassing, right? So, yeah, I hear you, Joseph. You gotta learn how to do these things too. So, good point there. Fatima says, I think discipline is more reliable than motivation, as motivation can fluctuate. Relying solely on discipline ensures consistency even when motivation fades. Okay. But doesn't discipline raise motivation though, Fatima? Right? If you have the discipline to stay focused on your goals, then motivation follows, no? Like they're correlated, yeah? Coming back to data science, right? This is what our experts call a correlated variable, right? Are they not correlated? Right? I think it's deeper than that the goal comes from within. It's calling to you to feel satisfaction working towards it however long it will take. I think it's deeper than that the goal comes within. Anise, I'm sorry. So are you saying that the goal and the motivation comes from within or not? I'm sorry. I guess I'm just not understanding that part of your message. I'm a little confused there. So it comes from within or it doesn't come from within? Help me understand that. Yeah, if you want to clarify that, Anise, I'd appreciate it, okay? Sorry, I lost my OBS there. Okay. Leo says, for me, gut feeling is trauma response. Okay, yeah. I know you're being funny there, Leo, but I think there's truth there, right? Not all gut feelings come from a positive place. Yeah. You're right. And that's okay, right? Once bitten, twice shy, right? Why don't you touch the hot stove? Because you've already touched it before, right? I can't remember. There's a name for that type of learning, but yeah, right? So yeah, I mean, I hear you, Leo, but that's not a bad thing. Now, I think that you should also draw a line, though, right? Because I think the term is projection, right? Where you could be in a new situation and you're projecting your past feelings onto that new situation, and to your detriment, right? Because that situation could be good. You're just not evaluating it on a clean slate, right? You're letting your past experience kind of shade your evaluation of that new opportunity. So I think you have to find a balance there, right? But yeah, I mean, I hear you. Not not all formation of your gut feeling was a positive thing. Well, I hear you on that. So Joseph says, almost akin to training the brain to not seek the pleasure of immediate rewards or gratification. Yeah. Very difficult though, right? But yeah. Dennis should launch Jedi training for data science. Yeah, maybe. Again, guys, metagames, right? Metagames, right? The meta part is that this type of discussion, super healthy to have in data science. These are the discussions you have in the team room, in your meetings with your other data scientists, right? You know, and I post about this in the Discord, and maybe in Discord chat doesn't come across, but I think you guys are getting it right now, right? In the sense of totally healthy for us to go back and forth. We don't have to agree, right? Not everybody has to give an amazing opinion, but it's healthy for one, you to form your opinions and you be able to express something. And two, for you to be able to listen to others and say, okay, yeah, I don't have to agree with it, but I can take it in. I can add it to my knowledge base, right? And then they'll add what, you know, that the other person will add what you said to their knowledge base. Super, super important process, guys, right? I mean, what we're doing right now is like the meta of data science, right? Because remember, it's a science. It's not numbers, it's not code. It's not some idiot teaching you math. It's a science. It's a process. So I'm really glad that you guys are with me on this because, you know, super healthy part of the data science process. And they don't teach you this in school, right? But this is the real world stuff. This is part of the team dynamics that you will be involved in. Satyam says, we don't need a motivation to eat, but we need motivation of what not to eat. Absolutely, Satyam. Absolutely. Oh my gosh. You know, I was talking to my coach one day. Or when was I talked to him the other day. And so for those of you guys that don't know, but I post him every once in a while on my Instagram. My coach is a professional athlete. And he helps me with my weight goals. You know, he's a good guy. Really enjoy working with him. I'll post his information in the Discord if you guys, you know, want to contact him. You know, he's not cheap, but, you know, he's a good coach. And, you know, he was telling me he's training for a big event he's got coming up. And he was telling me about how with his diet, you know, he's also very strict on his diet. He's a big advocate for the keto diet, low carb lifestyle. But he talks about how sometimes, you know, he does give himself like a cheat day where he'll take in more carbs than usual, but you know, he still keeps it healthy, right? He's not going out eating McDonald's. He's a professional athlete, right? So he still watches himself. And he was telling me about cheat days and all that. And I stopped him and I said, please do not talk about cheat days. Because right now, I'm basically ready to invade a small country if you promise me a cheat day. Because I am on a very, very strict diet right now. And if you gave me a cheat day, I would do some very, very bad and nasty things to be able to have a cheat day right now. So yeah, it's very hard to stay to that and say, okay, this is what I should not eat. Very difficult, right? Very, very difficult to do that. But that's the goal, right? See, the way I think of it too, though, is that to me, that's what makes the win sweeter, right? When you reach that goal, that's what makes it sweeter, right? Though when you can look back and say, oh my God, I was ready to kill someone for a pizza, but I didn't do it. I didn't do it and I reached it, right? Like that makes that goal so much better, right? Right? Like that's part of the payoff, right? So that's what keeps me going, right? But anyways, that's just me, right? But but I hear you, Satyam. It's the not doing the bad things that is the hard part. Joseph, thank you so much for doing the moderation duties on YouTube. Appreciate it. Anise says it's definitely coming from within. Okay, so that's referring to your previous message. Yeah, it's definitely from within. Definitely from within. Yassine says biased gut feeling. Yeah, absolutely. I think you're referring back to Leo's statement. Absolutely, your gut feeling can be biased, right? But it can also be, hey, you know what? I think I know where this is headed, right? The data scientist in me says that, X situation has low probability of success. So I'm going to say no, I'm going to move on, or whatever, whatever it requires for you to do. And you move on, you do something else, right? And if that makes you happy, if you can live with that, then there's nothing wrong with that, right? You move on and you say, okay. And you're willing to accept any result that comes from that, right? Maybe you missed out on a great opportunity, maybe you didn't. But as long as you're willing to say, hey, I made the best decision with the information I had at the time, and maybe that information was partially biased, which is true. But you move on. That's okay, right? So, I appreciate both Yassine's and Leo's view on this, right? Your gut feeling can be biased. Your gut feeling doesn't always come from a positive place, but that's just the way it goes. Joseph says, maybe we can think of it this way too. Motivation is like a supportive friend who gives you a boost when they're around, but discipline is a reliable guide that nudges you forward even when it wavers or stumbles, keeping you on the path. Yeah. Motivation is like a supportive friend that gives you a boost when they're around, but discipline is the reliable guide that nudges you forward even when it wavers, stumbles. Yeah, I like that, Joseph. I like that. Yeah, to me, it's like the motivation is like the reason, right? And then let me know what you guys think about this. Maybe I'm tying this a little bit too much to dieting because, that's kind of like one of my current big goals, motivations and all that. But to me, discipline is what keeps you going like on a minute by minute basis, right? Because some goals require that, right? Like one of the things that keeps me going on my diet is a couple years ago, I read about how, dieting is usually like a long-term effort, like not just weeks, but multiple months, in some cases, multiple years. And a person wrote about how you have to just break it down. It's not that I'm going to be on a diet for the next year. It's I'm not going to eat bad in the next 10 minutes. That's it. I just want to get through the next 10 minutes of sitting here, working, not snacking, not, doing, eating something I shouldn't. Just let me get through the next 10 minutes. And then if you can do that, maybe you can do another 10 minutes after that. And then another one. And next thing you know, you've put an hour together. Okay, now I'm going to try to just not eat bad for another hour. That's it. Forget how much weight you have to lose. Forget how much time it's going to take. I just want to get through the next hour, right? And that helps me. So to me, that's the discipline. It's like discipline like on a micro level, right? Like I just want to do the right thing for the next 10 minutes. That's it. So is that kind of what you mean, Joseph? Or is that maybe too diet specific? You guys tell me, right? But that's the way I view it, right? Discipline is what keeps me going, like on that section by section basis. Like that's the discipline, right? The discipline is I'm going to sit here and I'm going to work. I'm not going to get up and go to the kitchen and get something bad. What do you guys think? Let me know. Let me know in the chat. Okay, keeping you on the path when motivation is absent. Sorry, I should have added that last part, but I think my comments still hold, right? Just, to me, discipline is what kind of helps you like on a short time basis, right? I just want to get through the next, X number of time. Leo says, yes, we're a big Yes, we are, Leo. We're a big international family. Mafood, our good friend Mafood says, hello everyone, how are you doing? Mafood, remind me where you're from again. I know it's not your first time, but remind me where you're from again, but good to see you again. Mafood says, yes, also forgiving yourself is the best favor you can do to your friend. Do you mean yourself? Or what do you mean? Forgiving yourself is the best favor you can do to yourself? Or do you mean somebody from the outside? Sorry. Mafood says from Algeria. Okay, that's right. Northern Africa, Algeria. Thank you, Mafood. Good to see you again. Okay, Mafood says I meant yourself. Yeah, okay, Mafood. That's what I thought you meant too, because the other way kind of doesn't make sense. But yeah, so forgiving yourself is the best favor you can do to yourself. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Totally agree with that, Mafood. Appreciate the input. Joseph, again, thank you so much for the mod duties. Great job. Yassine says, I just love how real life subjects are discussed with data science terms. Where else would one find that? Yeah, Yassine. Well, thank you, Yassine. I appreciate the feedback. And yeah, that's why I do this, guys. Like I've told you guys, I take a lot of pride in being able to bring you real world data science, right? All the other, idiot influencers out there can't do it because they've never been out there. But these types of discussions are what make data science. I guarantee you this type of back and forth you're going to have in your data science experiences going forward. And also, one thing I didn't mention is keep in mind that this will also be something you do with your stakeholders. You're going to sit down and have ideation meetings with your stakeholders. And they're going to say, hey, we want to do this with our data. Okay, why? Well, we think we can get this. Okay, well, why? Help me understand that. What's your rationale for that? What are your expectations from that? Okay, you see it that way, we see it this way. What do you think? You're going to have those conversations, right? And those are critical conversations because they basically dictate what your team's going to be working on. Are you going to walk out of that meeting promising something that you can't deliver? Danger, danger. That happens, right? So having this back and forth, these quasi-existential discussions, super critical skill. They don't teach you this in school. The idiot influencers wouldn't know to put out a cheap product about this because they don't know about it. But this is the stuff I guarantee you happens in the real world. Also, you want to be a data science leader? You want to move up, right? You don't always want to be the junior analyst, right? Leading these types of conversations, contributing to these types of conversations, this is what moves you up, right? This is your chance to show your creativity, your skill, your research. Hey, I hear your viewpoint, but I read this and this is what it led me. This is what I concluded from it. What do you think? Right? Hey, you're suggesting this idea. Why? And then you being able to express your rationale in that scenario, super important in your progression of your career, right? So yeah, so Yassine, I like the way you phrase that. And this is why I do this, right? Because I want to give you guys the real world view. Leo says Joseph is a member of the DS police. Watch out, guys. Well, Leo, excuse me, Joseph. Yeah, but Leo, you're a moderator too, so you can't just pick on Joseph. You know, at this rate, I'm going to have the moderators banning each other. No, but thank you to Joseph's doing a great job today on the YouTube. And really, again, guys, if you see my moderators, you know, with the little wrench next to their name, give them a shout out because, you know, they do it on a volunteer basis and they really help me out. So make sure you give those guys a shout out. I really appreciate, you know, Leo, Rex's, and Joseph's help. I don't think any other moderators are here today, but really appreciate their help. So thank you for that. But yeah, but at this rate, Leo, you're going to get banned by the other by the moderator. Leo says, no, I meant he's not missing anything. Yeah. Joseph's over there like a hockey a goalie. Nothing's getting past him. Joseph says, yes, I agree with that, Dennis. That is how I transitioned to a keto diet. I would tell myself one meal at a time. Yeah, cool, Joseph. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the keto diet. I've lost a lot of weight on the keto diet since the pandemic. But yeah, absolutely. You know, you just gotta get through the next, you know, X period, right? Whatever period, you know, you think you can get through, right? Just use that discipline to say, hey, I'm just gonna do the right thing for the next 10 minutes, right? Like you just gotta break it down and find that discipline, right? You know, cause again, I don't like to mention out names or anything, but you know, like sometimes, you know, like if you have issues with other things, you know, like other addictions or other things in your life, you know, just get through the next 10 minutes, right? That's all you got to do. Michael, our good friend from Benin City, says, hi guys. Hey, how are you, Michael? Is it Adnani? I think it's Adnani from Norway. Hey Adnani, welcome. So good to see you back. Right now, if you don't mind, we're discussing motivation versus discipline. You know, people are sharing their different views on what keeps them going, what motivates them, what makes, you know, what just kind of life, right? But everybody's sharing their perspective and we're going back and forth. So we're exercising some of that practice in open discussions, which is critical in data science. So if you want to contribute to that, would love to hear your viewpoint on it. I just kind of want to keep the same thread going because, you know, people are giving some excellent views, but I appreciate you being here, okay? Servan says, you are genuinely talking, Dennis. That's inspiring. Oh, I appreciate that. I appreciate that, my friend. Yeah, you know, I've shared a little bit about this, you know, with you guys and also in private with some messages. You know, I told myself that if I was going to do this, you know, I have to do it in a genuine way, right? People know when you're being phony, right? So I don't want to be phony. I'm sharing my life experiences with you guys, right? But yeah, I appreciate that you see that. You know, that's really kind of my goal here. You know, just sharing my life experience with you guys. You know, and like I said yesterday in my Instagram posting that a lot of you saw, you know, I'm here to create the next generation of serious data professionals, right? I despise when people come on my content looking for jobs, you know. What's the quick way to be a job? I only have 4 months to become a data scientist. I want to learn. That's not my intent here. My intent is to create data professionals and to be genuine with you guys, you know. The only thing I can do in life is share my experience, right? That's what I'm doing. So thank you for the kind words, Servan. The thing that makes them influencers is that they're in the same position as the follower, viewer, and learn together, but would much rather learn for someone who's done it already and also providing valuable content is so awesome. Yeah, thank you for that, Mafud. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, you're right, Mafud. You know, they place themselves as learning together, but that's not a positive thing, right? That's the blind leading the blind, as we say here in the US, right? So, yeah, I mean, I think it's a lot better to learn from somebody who's already been there, who's already done it. It's not positive to say, well, I'm just going to be an influencer because I read one chapter ahead of you. I mean, that's dangerous, right? I mean, that's kind of dumb. So yeah, I'm a food, but that's exactly what I'm trying to do, right? I'm just I've been there. I've been in the trenches. I've led teams. I've deployed models, and I'm just sharing my experience. That's all I can do. Oh, so Satyam says, don't be on keto for a long period. It's sometimes do more harm. 17 to 25 days should be max. Then switch to a low carb, more fiber diet. Satyam, really appreciate your viewpoint. Satyam, one of the things that I have found, because I'm going to be honest. I've gone up and down, but generally speaking, I've had a lot of challenges with my weight. But one of the things I've come to appreciate is that everybody's body chemistry is different. I mean, that's really the bottom line. Everybody's composition, your chemicals, your reactions, everything. Everybody is unique, right? So to me, there is no single diet or single paper or study or whatever you should be following. You should experiment, try some diets, and find what best works for you and stick with it, right? Be a data scientist about your own body, know how your body reacts, and go in that direction. So yes, I get what you're saying. I've heard the same studies, and all that. But for me, and maybe for other people in the chat, I don't know, the keto diet just works for you and your chemistry, right? And maybe for other people's chemistry, the carbs and fiber work. That's okay too, right? Some people do great on a low-fat diet, right? They can eat carbs, they just can't eat fats, right? So for me, the keto diet works, and it's worked for extended periods. Because that's just like my body chemistry. My body chemistry responds to that. My body chemistry doesn't respond as well to low-fat diets, right? Other people might respond well to, high-carb diets, right? Believe it or not, there are high-carb. Why can I not talk, guys? There are high-carb diets out there, right? And people do well on those, right? It just depends on you, your exercise, your chemistry, your basal metabolic rate, your starting weight. Like there's so much to it, right? Like there's so much to it. What was the name of it? There was a great documentary put out many, many years ago. It was put out by the public broadcasting system here in the US, and it was called, oh my gosh, what was it? Oh my gosh, I'll have to look it up. I'll put it in the Discord. But it was this really fascinating documentary about why we're fat. And I remember that one of the lead doctors in the study, or in the video, said, look, the bottom line is that we don't know a damn thing about being fat or losing weight. We've learned like 1% of the 100% of what it takes to know about being fat and how our body reacts, right? And that's really the bottom line, that we really don't know a lot. We just don't. So experiment, right? What works best for you? So, I've heard the same studies, I get it, but people's body chemistry just works different. And I'm willing to accept that, right? Some people do better with fiber or carbs or whatever. Mine doesn't, but my body's always been different like that. Like, for example, for me, one of the things that has always followed me throughout my entire life is going to doctors. I hate going to new doctors. Because my new doctor The conversation is always the same. Oh my God, you're Hispanic, you're overweight, you must have diabetes, we gotta test you for diabetes right away. Every single new doctor I've been to tells me that. They test me for diabetes and my numbers are perfect. Like my blood numbers are amazing. Why? Because diabetes doesn't run in my family. I actually have a very clean family history. There's no cancer, there's no diabetes in my family. Like there's no diseases in my family. My grandparents lived, all four of my grandparents lived into their hundreds. My great grandmother lived to be 105. My parents are well into their 70s and they're very independent. They still get around. You know, they just came back from Europe. So that helps me, right? You know, people underestimate the importance of a clean family history. There's studies on that, right? So maybe that leads me to having better results on the keto diet. Who knows? Everybody's different. Everybody's different. Anyways, sorry that I went off on that topic, but everybody's different, right? Everybody's body chemistry is different. There is no single diet, guys. Addie, welcome. I'm from New Delhi. Glad to have found your page. Well, glad you found us, Addie. If you want to talk about professional data science, you're in the right place. So Addie, today we're talking about motivation, discipline, the things that keep you going. You know, we started our conversation by talking about, you know, people in their 20s who are maybe lacking motivation, maybe lacking a little bit of direction. So if you want to add to that conversation, you're welcome to do it. Mafood says exactly, the blind leading the blind. Yeah, Mafood. I think you and I see it the same way, and that's not a positive thing, right? That's really not a positive thing. Syed and Ganesh, we ask people to introduce themselves, you know, so please let us know the city, state, province, country that you're from. You know, we always like people to introduce themselves to start off in a professional way, keep the chat professional. Excuse me. Ketones are survival metabolism enzymes that are released when you are no carb for more than 3 days, which also makes blood more acidic, makes our kidneys work harder. But what if my kidneys are adapted to working harder? What if my blood doesn't get as acidic as other people's blood? Right? Like, everybody's body chemistry is different. Right? Like, isn't that possible? Isn't it possible that some people's acidic levels wouldn't get that high? Or that some other people's kidneys are adapted to working hard or adapted to handling ketones? Like, if you guys want to, like Satyam, do you realize that there are products out there that are called liquid ketones that professional athletes use? Like, there's professional athletes out there that will drink ketones. If you guys don't know that, I think one of the popular products is called Ketone IQ, I believe is the name. So, like, how acidic are we talking about here if it's sold as a product? Like, if you guys want to know go out and look at some fascinating products, you can buy liquid ketones, guys. Okay, that's kind of scary, right? Because if what Satyam is saying is true, then there's people out there that should be like dying left and right? But there's liquid ketones out there. So Satyam, it's just possible that some people are adapt differently to it. Some people's blood doesn't get acidic. Like, why is that not a possibility, right? Okay, Joseph says ketone IQ. Yeah, right? So Satyam, how do you explain that? Like, you can go out right now on a commercial basis and buy ketones in a product. Like, that should be death in a bottle, according to those studies, right? Joseph says, I'm passionate about self-experimenting with different foods to explore how my body responds to various things. This self-discovery helps me fine-tune my diet for optimal health and well-being. Hey, that sounds like a positive thing. We're all data scientists, right? What better data to collect than on your own body, on yourself? Right? Like, Joseph, that sounds like a very healthy thing, right? So if Joseph's done that and his body responds best to the keto diet, you do you, man, right? That can be a positive thing. So Satyam, I appreciate your view. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to poo-poo it. Again, I'm sure there's people out there who do well on other diets. Maybe they gain weight on the keto diet, right? Or, if you're somebody who's susceptible to like heart disease, right? Keto diet ain't so great for you, right? You eat a lot of meat, right? Maybe they do better on the carb diets. Who knows? Everybody's body's different. That's all I'm saying. Not trying to poo-poo anybody. But everybody's body's different. I'm just convinced that people's body chemistry and levels and blood and everything, it's just so different. We haven't done enough, we as a humanity, right? Haven't done enough exploration on how different people's body chemistry is. Joseph says, yeah, I agree with Dennis. Not a wrong or right. Just find out what works. Yeah, that's exactly right. Maybe your body does well on keto. Maybe it does well on something else. That's okay. You do you. But what do the kids say? You do you, boo. You do you. Lack271. Hello, sir. Hey, Lack. Lack, I know it's not your first time here, but I can't remember where you're from. Let us know. Let us know. All right, guys. Really interesting discussion. Really appreciate all of you. I'm seeing some good feedback in the chat. If you want to send me feedback after a session like today, would love to hear it, because I'd like to get feedback when we do, a little bit different sessions. But again, I think that this is really important for us to be able to go back and forth and be able to talk about different things, right? Again, if you look at it from the meta view, this is a very valuable exercise to go back and forth with your colleagues and be able to express views, take in other views, and go from there. Very valuable exercise. And thank you all for the kind words in the chat. I'm just doing my best to share my information with you. Leo says, my body loves junk food. I don't. Oh man, who doesn't love junk food? I mean, guys, the things I would do for a Snickers bar right now. Don't even get me started. All right, guys. So again, appreciate you. As I've been saying, there's a lot of craziness happening in the world right now on multiple levels. So I really hope that you and your family are staying safe out there. Take care of yourselves, take care of your families, and I'll see you next time.